Welcome back to Bickington Photographic Club's YouTube tutorials channel, and in particular the series of tutorials on stroke borders, triptychs, panels, square crops, montages, canvas increase sizing, etc. This, you'll be glad to hear, possibly, is the last in this series of tutorials, and is probably the most complex. So hopefully you've started at the beginning and worked your way through to this point. And you may well have referred back to previous Lightroom tutorials in our other series to aid you getting to this point. So in the last tutorial we created this wonderful triptych that you see here. This time around we're going to expand slightly and we're going to create a panel. Slightly different because we're going to use more than just the 3 images. In fact, I've already imported some images here. Now, this I call Close-Up of Rudolph. I don't have titles for the others. To be fair, we just went with colours because we wanted to keep it as simple for everyone to understand as possible. So you'll see in my film strip down the bottom I've actually got 6 different colour images. They're all the same size, they're just some of them are portrait and some of them are landscape. With our triptych they were all the same size and the same orientation, which made forming the triptych that little bit easier. When you're dealing with both portrait and landscape together, it gets a little bit more complicated, and the whole process is going to take place in Photoshop. So we need to get our images into Photoshop. I'm going to go back to my grid view, and you can see here I've got my 6 images, and this is the layout that I want to finish up with. Okay, this is my panel. So I've created them in this order, custom, so that I've got an idea of what I want my finished product to be. But I need to be able to put it together as one image, and I'm going to use Photoshop to do that. Select the first image, hold the shift key and select image number 6 so that they all light up. Bring your cursor up to photo, and once again we're going to go to edit in and edit in Photoshop CC. Again, we're given an option whether to edit the originals, copies, or copies with your adjustments. We're going to make sure to take the right version, that's the ones with our adjustments, and move them into Photoshop, just like that. Okay, we have them imported in order, which is quite convenient because the first image we want to start with is this one here. And what we're going to do, just like we have done before, is we're going to add a nice stroke border around this, just so that we've got an edge for the top and for the left of what is going to be the top left corner of our panel. To do this, once again we're into our image menu and our canvas size. Going to work with percentages again, just for familiarization. You can see that my width is 1920 by 1080 in height, so I'm going to put a stroke on that of, let's say, 3%. So 3% stroke border is going to be a slightly heavier border than we've seen before, but not by a great deal, and it's going to be around the entire image, and we're going to do that in the grey. So that's the grey selected, that's our size selected, and that's our stroke border. Now straight away you can see we've got a small dilemma because our width was a different ratio to our height. So actually our width border is slightly larger than, sorry, our height border is slightly different to our width border. Doesn't matter in the long run. I'm quite happy with the way that that looks, and I'm quite happy to move on to the second stage. Second stage of the process is once again to come to our image and select our canvas size. Once we've got our canvas size window up again, we switch to our percentages, This time we want to anchor ourselves to the top left hand corner, and we want to go 160% wider than we are at the moment, and we want to go 160% taller than we are at the moment, but only out of these corners. So make sure to anchor this red block in your top left corner. Going to keep it grey and click OK. Now that's given me my canvas, but as you can see it's so big I can't see it all, so I need to zoom out. There is a magnifying glass you can use for zoom, but I'm going to use the shortcut keys on the keyboard, which is Control or Command on a Mac and minus. And you can see there that's now brought my whole canvas into view. So what next? Well, next we've got 5 other colour blocks to introduce to our canvas, and we do this in much the same way we brought otter number 2 and our fox into our triptych. So pull each of these down and line them up to the left hand side of your working window. Try to keep your workspace tidy, it just makes your life a little bit easier, and hopefully you can get what you're working with organised quite nicely. So if at this stage, like me, you've forgotten what order you wanted them in, you can pop back into Lightroom, just have a quick look at what you selected, pop back to Photoshop and continue. So I had the blue one in next on my screen, so I'm going to pick my move tool once again, and I've just got a part of this blue one visible. That's all I need for the moment. As soon as I click it, it's going to bring it to the front as an active window anyway. So I grab my blue panel and I make sure that my white arrow and plus sign is on my grey canvas and drop. Now I'm just going to leave it there for the moment because I can move it around as it's a separate layer. I can move it around in a moment. So I can put that one back up the top as done. Okay, make sure to reselect my active layer as the red, and because that's the layer we're adding all of our other colours to, and we take the next colour that we want. Again, we can refer back to Lightroom if we have to, and that's the green. So move, green, drag, and once you've got the white arrow and the plus sign, drop. Again, don't worry about where it's dropped it for the moment, it doesn't matter. It's a separate layer, you can shuffle it around to your heart's content in a moment. Switch back to red, and you can see the back there, you've got your 3 blocks randomly splattered on a grey canvas, and take the yellow, well, pardon me, take the yellow, not in its box, and drop it onto the canvas. Move that back up to the top, return to your red, select the next one, drop it onto your canvas, move it to the top, select the last one, making sure you are back on your red canvas, select last one, drag and drop. Finally, move black back to the top and return to your red canvas. Now you've got the 6 different colours that you wanted within your canvas, they're just not positioned correctly. They're all listed as layers down here. The red one is our background. It's got the grey canvas background to it and is locked, so you cannot move the red square or rectangle from where it is. But you do have free rein to move any of the others. You can also turn them on and off, which from our Photoshop tutorials you'll know, you just click the eyes. There you go, they're all gone. and then you can bring them back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn off all but our red and our blue. Going to select the blue layer, still using our move tool. We can bring our blue layer using the snap lines to get it near to where we want it, and then use the cursor keys for the purpose of fine-tuning. There we go. Now you can turn on the next layer, which is your green, select it, repeat the process. Very, very simple, easy to do. And that's when you realise that your blue one needs to be nudged just a little bit that way. Green one again. And all you're doing is effectively playing Tetris in slow motion to organise the panel as you want it to appear. Our next layer is our yellow, and our yellow is going to come down to here. So, as we have discovered, our canvas size is not quite big enough to be able to manipulate our yellow panel into place. So, very simply, what we're going to do is take ourselves back to our background layer with the grey canvas on it, and we're going to make it slightly bigger to accommodate what we need. And into image, canvas size. We've done this a few times now, so you should be fairly familiar with what you're seeing on the screen. Your width doesn't need to change, so we're going to leave it exactly where it is. The height needs to be a little bit bigger, probably only about 10% bigger than it already is. And remember, you're anchoring the top left corner. You don't want this size changing. You want to keep that as it is. So you're increasing this area down here to accommodate your yellow and the other two colours to come. Click OK when you're happy, and straight away our canvas is just that little bit bigger and ready to work with. So we've returned to our yellow layer, which is layer 3. You can name these layers if you want to, very, very easily. You just right click and choose rename. But for this demo, I'm just keeping them as layer 1 through 5. It seems to make sense. But if you're working with lots and lots of layers, it is a good idea to give them names, just so that you know what you're looking at, really. So layer 3 is our yellow layer. We've got our move tool selected, so all that we need to do is just shuffle him into position, and I'm going to go for sort of somewhere in the centre. See, the snap to lines are helping me out quite nicely. Slightly closer towards the bottom, and don't forget you've got those cursor arrows you can play around with just to fine tune it, and I'm okay with that there. So I'm going to move on to my next layer, which very handily is my white, and switch that layer on. Here he comes. So here comes my white layer, and straight away I've got my pink snap to lines, which is showing me that I am nicely lined up on both my yellow and my blue. So I'm just going to let it go and leave it there. And finally, my black layer. Switch it on, make sure the layer is selected, drag it, and again you'll be able to see exactly when they're lined up together. And it'll even give you your measurements so that you know the distance between your units is the same, and then you can let go. So in short, that's how to arrange a panel. Create a canvas, add your images to your panel. Remember though guys, your panel's going to be made up of actual photographs, not just coloured blocks. So you need to consider horizons, you need to consider your sun, your sky, people, whether they're facing in or out of images. If they're on the left, they should be facing to the right. If they're on the right, they should be facing to the left. That keeps the focus of the whole panel in the middle and stops you wandering outside and getting lost. Just like a normal photograph. Leading lines should be coming into your panel. Faces should be coming into your panel. Water generally is going to be towards the bottom of a panel because it's low down, and your skies towards the top of your panel. Hope that helps you out in constructing your panels ready for the Admin 6 challenge later this year. If you need details on that, you can find them on our Facebook page. Hope you've enjoyed this set of tutorials. Give it a go. Practice makes perfect, and we look forward to seeing those in October later this year. We're Bickington Photographic Club. This is the YouTube tutorials channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.